Sing along if you feel my flow. Come on, sing this song. He has a plan in Jesus' name. He has his hand on our brand. Building and growing together. We can make it through any weather. So come streaming together. Don't be scared. Hands in the air if you're feeling the flow. Sing along with this song. Hey, life streaming together. Life streaming together. Sing along if you feel my flow.
Yeah, I'm just a brother out here in the hood trying to do some good to strengthen our community. Yeah, that's what I'm about. But not only that, we try to use all the gifts that God has given us, being creative, to make the message relevant to everyone. And finally, man, I'm a preacher. I love to preach. I got 99 problems. Preaching ain't one.
Yeah, here we go. Are you getting up, what, or getting down? Somebody say, hello, feel is home. You know how we do it in this space. We try to get our healing. Hey, it's Wade's word of the day. Wade's word of the day. Wade's word of the day. Wade's word of the day.
Man, what is going on, everybody? What is going on? It's Wade's Word of the Day. Wade's Word of the Day. Before we get started, I just need you to tag, text, tell somebody, tell them to come on in the room tonight. Come on in the room tonight. I see the baddest man in Guitar Land has joined us on this evening. Thank you so much. Over on the YouTube side, thank you so much for joining us. Aisha Franks, thank you for coming in the room. Everybody right now, as fast as you can. Yeah, tag somebody, tell them to come on. It's Wade's Word of the Day. And y'all know how we feel about this. We believe that this space is a healing space. So in this space, yeah, we tell our negative thinking, no stinking thinking. We tell our haters to put it where? Way back there. Yeah, way back there. And certainly we tell our fear, we ain't operating in fear, but we are operating in faith. Yeah, that's what we're doing. And so I'm excited to be hanging out with you all once again. One more again. Yeah, once again in the space tonight. I see Marvin Franks Jr. has joined us as well. Come on, do me a favor, hit that stars button if you don't mind. Every time you hit that stars button, it helps us to do ministry just a little bit and all of those good things. We got a wonderful word on tonight. I'm excited about it. A very familiar word. Is one of our spiritual disciplines. So I kind of want to talk about that a little bit tonight. But come on, y'all come on in the room. Let's talk. Come on in the room. Let's talk. So I want to talk about prayer tonight. I want to talk about it from three different perspectives, if you don't mind. And prayer is, in fact, one of our spiritual disciplines. And sometimes in our growth process, we talk about a whole lot of things. We talk about, being encouraged. We talk about strengthening ourselves. But the reality, prayer is a key component in that. And sometimes we need to go back and refresh ourselves, especially in light of this new norm, where you hear a lot of people saying, you can, keep your prayers because, they just want to get things done when they want to get things done. But prayer is very vital to our existence and our walk with God. It is no mystery. It is no secret when we look at Jesus, as powerful as he was. We see all throughout his journey, his years on this earth, he spends quality time in prayer. Oftentimes you would hear where the Bible says that he left the crowd and he went to be by himself to pray. And so prayer is not only foundational, but it's fundamental in terms of how we operate as people who believe in God, who believe in our Creator. Now, what we should not do is look at prayer as being a chore. Sometimes we make prayer into a chore because, we think that it has to be all of these beautiful and wonderful words. I'm reminded when Peter is sinking, he just simply says, Lord, save me. That's a prayer. That's a prayer. And some of you, like me, may have grown up in certain contexts, where the deacon get down on his knee and he praying and singing, praying. And it's a prayer, but it sounds like he's singing and folk are going crazy. And so, if you was coming up to be a deacon, you wanted to do it like them. You know what I mean? But that's not how I see it. I don't look at it from that perspective. Prayer is foundational and is fundamental to our growth in God. To our growth in God. Not only does it empower us individually, but prayer is also a component of the connectiveness that we have one with another. Paul, when speaking about folk who are sick amongst us, amongst the group, he encourages prayer. He encourages prayer. He says, if some is sick among you, let them call upon the elder, let oil be put on their head. And then he talks about how the fervent prayer of the righteous availeth much. So prayer is very important, but we have to understand that prayer is about us communicating to our Creator. And it's also about us speaking on behalf of others. So prayer isn't just simply about you getting what you want all the time, but prayer is about also learning how to pray for others. Somebody prayed for me, had me on their mind, took the time to pray for me. I'm so glad they prayed. There were these moments when you find it hard to pray for yourself, but you know that somebody is praying for you, or at least we should be, right? So it's not self-centered. It's not self-centered. And so tonight I'm not going to really talk about the mechanisms of prayer. When I talk about the mechanisms of prayer, it is this understanding in prayer that you never start with you. You always start with God. So if you are going, if you're going to set aside time to pray, never start with you. Always start with God. Tell him how good he is. Yeah. And then you move to asking God to forgive you for whatever it is, right? Acknowledging your struggles and your issues and things that you have going on, and asking God to move on those things. In some cases, forgive you for those things. And then you get to a place of really, asking maybe for some tangible things. So you never start with just simply asking for the tangible things. If you're going to set aside some time, always start with God. Invite him into whatever space that you're operating in. It's something to be said about creating an altar, and the altar is not always at the church, but you can create your altar right in your room. I can create an altar right here in the studio, right here in this place, because I understand the value of invoking him first, right? And he says that even if it's just 2 or 3, he promises to be in the mix. And so I've got to learn how to establish an altar wherever I am. It could be in your bedroom. It could be in your living room. It could be in your bathroom. But always start with God. Tell him how good he is and how wonderful he is and what he has done. That's called worship, y'all. Right? You come into prayer with the spirit of worship. I'm bowing down, as Paul Morton would say. Paul Morton Sr. would say, bow down and worship him, enter in, oh, worship him. Yeah, so there is an element to that. But so I didn't want to kind of talk about the practical kind of thing around prayer, but I just want to kind of give some emphasis around what happens when we pray. So prayer is, in fact, communication. It's communication. It is how we communicate with God. It's how we communicate with God. So never lose sight of the fact at the end of the day, it is communication, and it is communicating. And it doesn't have to be through fancy words and lofty words. It's no different than what I'm doing, right? Even, if you will, in a real practical way, kind of with you all. It's using my words and my language. Now, when we talk about language, you can get into these notions of prayer language, and I don't want to talk about that tonight. But at the end of the day, it's about me using my words and my language. And I'm talking to God as if he's right there in front of me. So it is communication, but it's two-way communication. Sometimes we go into prayer and we pop down like what we do with, like we do with some of us. We got something going on and we call somebody up to have a conversation, and we want to talk about all of our problems, dump all of our stuff on them. But as soon as they say, hey, I've been going through that too, you be like, all right, I got to go now. Is anybody picking up what I'm putting down? Think about it. Think about just in your natural experiences, how many conversations like that you've been involved in, right? Where somebody comes and they doing all of the talking, then when it's time for you to talk or for you to share, it's like they ain't got no time for that. As a pastor, I've experienced that quite often. They come and they give you all of their stuff, but when it's time for you to talk, all right, now I'm good. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'll see you later. That is not really communicating. When we communicate, when we pray unto God, it's two-way. We are speaking to him, but we also have to make time for him to speak to us, to talk to us, to deal with us. So it's two-way. It's not just simply you go on to God because you need a new car, maybe need a new pair of shoes and all of those particular things. It is relational. This is why when we see Jesus, he pulls away to deal with his Father. And he says, me and my Father are one. I don't do anything that the Father does not tell me to do. And so now we understand why he is spending this time in prayer, because it's relational. It's relational. And nobody wants to be in a relationship with anybody on any level where all they want you to do is hear their stuff, but they never want to hear from you. Somebody gonna get that in the morning, because some of y'all are dealing with some relationships and dealing with some folk, and you are frustrated and you are angry and you're mad about it because it's a one-way street. There is no mutual communication. You are always there for them, but when it's time for them to be there for you, they're never there for you. See, that's the natural side of it. God wants us to come to him. He wants us to be with him, but sometimes when he asks us to do some things, we act like we don't hear him. He ain't talking to me. He ain't, no, it is relational. And I keep on harping on that. Our faith, not only with God, but with one another, is relational. It is not just about you. As much as we hear that language today, it is not. Jesus is equipped, he is empowered, but yet we hear over and over where he enters into prayer with his Father because it's relational. He has all of this power and all of this might, but yet he's spending all of this time dealing with the apostles, the disciples that he has chosen, because this walk is relational. Certainly Jesus could have did it all for himself, but notice what he says to them. He says, I must go that the Spirit might come. It's relational, y'all. So it's about communication. It's not just about you going just dropping everything on God, even though he can handle all of your stuff, but he doesn't just simply want to hear from you. He wants to know you. Somebody ought to text that out tonight. Post that up on your Facebook page, your Instagram, wherever you are. He don't just want to hear from you. He wants to know you. He wants to be in relationship with you. So it's two-way communication. It's communication. It's relational. Number two. It's number one, it's about communication. It's two-way relational communication. Number two, prayer keeps us connected. Prayer keeps us connected. Prayer is kind of that conduit that allows the purpose and the plan of God to flow from me to him. It keeps us connected. The old folk used to say something like this: what he tells me to say, I say. Where he tells me to go, I go. What he tells me to do, I do. That is understanding that I have this connection to him. Prayer becomes like that conduit where the power and the passion of God flows to me, and then the praise and the worship flows back to him. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Somebody ought to say, I know that's right. It keeps me connected. And so when I gather to meet with him, I hear from him and he hears from me. I worship him and he blesses me. It keeps me connected. It balances me out. That's what prayer does. It balances out our relationship with God because it keeps us connected. The praises and the worship flows to him, and the power and the blessings flow to us. So if you remove that prayer, you remove the connection. Then you're literally blowing in the wind. Yeah, if you remove prayer, you remove that connection. Did I not tell you that prayer is kind of like the conduit upon which the praise and the worship flows unto God? And then the power and blessings flow to us. Prayer is that place where he speaks to us and he talks to us and he tells us next steps, gives us vision, and gifts us to walk in certain spaces and do certain things, to look out on this fallen world and begin to create and be useful in this world. It is this connection. It creates this connection between humanity and divinity. Yeah. Y'all see me in most of my posts, especially as it relates, to the ministry we work. At some point, I'm going to say get connected. At some point, I'm going to say get connected. So let me give it to you in a natural way. It's kind of like some folk who are saying, hey, I'm connected to you in ministry, but you're never connected. You in theory, you're apart, but you're not connected. Right. And the only time the connection shows up is in a need. And if it only shows up in a need and you have not added anything to the connection, are you picking up what I'm putting down? So in a natural way, if we are rocking in ministry, it's connected. We are staying connected. This is what prayer does between you and God. It keeps us connected. God, what's the next move? God, what's going on next? God, I'm struggling with this. I'm wrestling with this. I don't know how to deal with this situation or this circumstance. God, what are you up to? It keeps us connected to what God is trying to do in the earth among us. So if I never communicate with him, if I'm not connected to him, how am I going to know how to make the next move in God? Is anybody picking up what I'm putting down? Let me give you the final one and I'm going to get on out your way tonight. The final one, not only is it communication, is two-way, it's relational. Not only must we understand the value of staying connected, as praise and worship goes up to him, power and blessings come back down to you and I. But then thirdly, it is through prayer where we find our strength, where we find our hope, and where we find our courage. Yeah, it is through prayer where we find our strength, where we find our hope, and where we find our courage. Yeah. It is in through prayer where we find our strength, our hope, and our courage. Yeah, strength to keep on. When everything in you wants to quit, wants to give up, wants to throw in the towel, it is through my communicating and my connectiveness to God that I hear him say, I'm your child. That I'm more than the world against you. I'm more than whatever it is that you're dealing with, that you're going through. Yeah, he strengthens us through prayer. When we feel defeated and depleted, it is through prayer that we get our strength back. Where he looks at us and he declares, you are my child, and in me you can do anything. Somebody ought to say, I know that's right. Yeah, it is through the communication and it's through the connection with God we get our strength back, our strength to get up and not to stay down. Yeah, our strength to keep on pushing, to keep on striving, to keep on living. Yeah, it is through prayer where we get our strength and our hope. Our hope. It is through God that we find hope. Yeah, to not give up, to know that weeping may endure for a night, but yeah, some joy is coming. My hope, where I understand that I can look to the hills from which cometh my help, knowing that my help comes from the Lord. Hope that this too shall pass. Hope that all things are working together for the good to them who love the Lord, to them who are called according to his purpose. Hope I will supply all of your needs. Hope. And you can't make it through this world without some hope. Let me say that again for the folk in the back of the room tonight. You can't make it through this world without some hope, knowing that the sun will come out tomorrow, knowing that this joy that I have, the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. This hope. And I don't know about you tonight, but I'm so glad for prayer, because prayer renews my hope. When I want to look around and just be down about everything that I see, prayer helps me see the world anew. Because I can do, as Paul says, look up at the stars and look at the sky, and they all declare there is a God. Hope. Yeah, hope that says you won't stay down here forever. The valley experience will not be all of your life, but there are some valleys. I mean, that there are some mountains that you are destined to climb. Hope. Hope that says, man, I can overcome this. I can do this. I can make it. And that my change is coming. Hope. I don't know how you feel about it tonight, but yeah, that's the power of prayer. And then finally, courage. Courage to do the things that God has called you to do. Because you're going to need some courage to do the things that God has called you to do. And so where others may falter and where others may quit, you find yourself being like David. Should I die in this moment? Or should I pursue? Courage. Courage to know that the Lord is there with you fighting your battles, like David when he looks at Goliath and everyone around is scared and he says, how dare this joker defy my God? And he takes what he has because he understands that if God is with him, he's more than the world against him, and he dares to slay the giant. Courage. Courage to look at your enemies and courage to look at your haters and say, you will not win. Courage to fight all of the battles that God has called you into, because you know that you are a soldier in the army of the Lord. Yeah. Courage to stand when others are faltering. Courage to stand up when everybody else wants to sit down. Courage to speak up when everybody else is quiet. Courage to stand on all of the promises of God. Yeah. So pray. Because prayer is communicating with your God. Prayer is staying connected to your God. And prayer is finding courage through your God. Man, I'm done tonight. If this word has added value to your life on tonight, man, please, man, please, sir, hey, text, tags, and tell somebody. Share it out. Share it out. Don't be scared. Get your courage up. I'll let somebody tell them you need to hear this word. You need to hear this word. Man, I'm so appreciative of each and every one of you. Love you all so much. Hey, if you love what we're doing, make sure that you hit the stars button. There's other ways that you can also give if you so choose. But tonight, the button is right there for you. Go ahead and hit that stars button. Let's have a quick stars party if you don't mind. It helps us to do what we need to be doing in ministry. This all up to you. Ain't nobody going to be mad if you don't. We will just simply be appreciative if you do. If you do. We love you. We thank God for you. We really do. Hey, let's go out this way, man. I pulled this song. This is a oldie but goodie. But I pulled it from, way back when. And y'all let me know if you're feeling it. Here we go.
Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. You can return to your seats if you like as we lift it up. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Jesus, 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 Jesus. Sometimes you just gotta call on him. Jesus, Jesus. Jesus, Jesus. Somebody call him Savior.
Hey! Oh, Lord. Hey, what's his name?
Somebody call him Healer, Healer.
Healer. Ah, he's a healer. Yes, he is. Say
Healer,
it.
Healer.
Oh, my. What's his name? What's his name? Hey, I got to get out of here. Hey! Yes, he is. He's a provider. Come on, somebody. Say it. Provider, that's his name, yeah. Hey, what's his name? Jesus. I got to get out of here. Tonight. I love y'all so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. Yeah, he's Jesus. We love him so much. Hey, it's Wade's Word of the Day. I'm your host. Make sure that you're texting and tagging and telling somebody to meet us in the space. We're here every night, Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Love y'all so much. Come on, sing along real quick. Hey!
Jesus.
Ah! Jesus. Hey! I gotta go. I'll talk to y'all real soon. Everybody be blessed. Peace. Hey!
Provider.